Hi, welcome to my video on review 2 of Parabola and Hyperbola. This review is on videos numbers 11 to 25 and it's treated as a quiz marked out of 36. So give yourself a score for each question. Total up the page, put it over 36, divide 36 into the numerator to get a decimal, and move your decimal 2 places to the right to get a percent. Here we go, let's do the review, see how well you're going to do. So notice we have a parabola because we have a y and an x squared. So this parabola could also be written in this form, which is the point slope form. And the vertex of this parabola, x is opposite of negative 2 is 2, opposite of negative 1 is 1. Or you could look at this form here, which is if x is 2, y is 1, so that's the vertex. And if we plot the vertex of 2, x is 2, y is 1, and because it's y equals x squared, and because it's negative, that means the parabola is going to open down, so the vertex is 2, 1 opening down. So the equation is normally y minus k is 1 over 4p x minus h squared. So that means that 1 over 4p is equal to negative 1 over 12. So 1 over 4p is negative 1 over 12. So negative 4p is 12. So p is negative 3. So that means the focus is inside of the parabola. So its focus is down here at 3. So if you go down, that's negative 3. So that's 1. So 1, 2, down right here. So this is the vertex. This is the focus. And the focus is going down, so it's a 2, and 1 subtract 3 is negative 2. So the focus is 2, negative 2. And the directrix is on, so if this is 3 down, the directrix is 3 up, so 1, 2, 3 right there. And the directrix is perpendicular to the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is down through here, which is x equals 2, so the directrix is y equals, so that's a 3 up, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, so y equals 4. So the directrix is y equals 4. So we got 4 marks. So if you have the vertex, you give yourself a mark. If you've got p is negative 3, you give yourself a mark. Focus is a mark, directrix is a mark. 4 marks altogether. A parabola has a vertex of 1, 2. Foci is 1.5, comma 2. Find the values of k if k, comma 2k lies on the parabola. Well, I like to draw a picture of what I have. A parabola has a vertex of 1, 2, which is right there. The focus is x is 1.5. And so let's say that's 1 and that's 2. So the focus is 1.5, 2, which is right there. And that's because it's going sideways. That means that the parabola is doing this to the focus. And the distance, if that's the vertex, and that's the focus, that means this distance right here is p. So p is 1/2. So because the parabola is going sideways, it's x minus h is 1 over 4p y minus k squared. And notice that p is positive, so it's opening to the right. So the vertex is, this is an x, so that's a 1, so this is a minus 1, and 1 over 4. P is 1/2, so put a half in, and it's y. That's a 2, so this is a minus 2 squared. So x minus 1. A half of 4 is 2, so it's 1 over 2 y minus 2. So this is the equation of the parabola, but we have the point k, 2k. We want to find the values of k. So this is the x and this is the y. So we sub those in. So x is k and y is 2k. So we work this out. We have the square first. So k minus 1 is a half. So when we square this binomial, so 2k squared is 4k squared. Product of 2k and negative 2 is negative 4k doubled is a negative 8k. Negative 2 squared is plus 4. And we want a half, so these are all even, so a half of 4 is 2. Half of 8, negative 8 is negative 4. And half of 4 is 2. So we have k squared, so I can move the k over here, but let's move it to the other side to keep the k squared positive. So we got 4k negative minus k, and that's plus 2 plus 1. So we have 2k squared minus 5k plus 3. Now we have a quadratic, so hopefully it's factorable. If it's not, we're going to use the quadratic formula. So the product is a times c. So a is 2, c is 3, so the product is 6. The sum is in the middle, which is a negative 5. So the factors of 6 are 1 times 6 and 3 times 2. But which pair gives me a... So notice the product is 6 and the sum is negative 5. But the two numbers have to be... So we got a 2k and we got a k. And we have to get the factors of 3 are 3 and 1. So we go 2k, 3, 1. So that's a minus. And that's a minus because the product is positive, sum is negative, is 2 minuses. So that means 2k minus 3 is equal to 0. Or k minus 1 is equal to 0. 2k is equal to 3. K is 3 over 2. And k is 1. So that's the values of k. And I was leading into this. So if you just eyeball it and go 2k and k and 2 minuses multiply to give you a plus, and the sum is negative. So they fit in because the FOIL is negative 2k, negative 3k makes negative 5. But the other way would have been to take the factors that add up to give you, because the sum product is plus and the sum is negative, we would have to take the 3 and the 2. So another way would be to go 2k squared would be negative 3k minus 2k plus 3. So these are the two factors that will multiply to give you a 6 and add to give you a negative 5 when you put a negative with them. So you take the k out and you get 2k minus 3. You take the negative out, negative 1 out, you get 2k minus 3. So that would be 2k minus 3 times k minus 1. So if we did it this way by eyeballing it, or you could do it this way, your choice. Anyway, we have 6 marks. So if you have p is a half, you get a mark. If you have this equation right here, you get a mark. And if you sub the k's in, right here you get a mark. If you worked it down to this equation here, you get a mark. And each of these answers is a mark. So 6 marks altogether. Total page out of 10. Okay, let's continue. A hyperbola has a center of 3, 0, a vertex of 3, 2, foci of 3, 4, find the equation of the asymptote. Well, what I like to do again is to draw a diagram. I have a hyperbola has a center of x is 3, y is 0, there's the center. It has the vertex of 3, 2, so x is 3, y is 2, which is right there. And has a foci of 3, 4. And the foci is x is 3, that's 2, so let's say 4 is right here. So that's the focus. And find the equation of the asymptote. Well, the equation of the asymptote is a hyperbola, and because it's going up, so we have the equation is, the asymptote is y minus k equals plus or minus b over a x minus h. And we have the center that is going through is 3, 0, so that's y minus 0 plus or minus b over a x minus 3. So what we need is, we need the a and the b, but let's see what happens. Let's see. From the center to the vertex is 2 units. So that means that a, let's do it here, a is 2. And from the center to the focus is 4 units. So that's c is 4. So that means in the hyperbola, c squared is a squared plus b squared. So c is 4. So it's 4 squared. A is 2, so it's 2 squared. B squared. So that's a 16. 4, 2 squared is 4, so we move it over. So that means that b squared is 12, which means that b squared is 12. B is plus or minus the root of 12. So b is plus or minus, that's 4 times 3. So b is plus or minus 2 root 3. So the asymptote, we got a 0 here. B is 2 root 3 over a, which is 2, x minus 3. So y equals the asymptote plus or minus, the 2's cancel, root 3 times x minus 3. Those are the asymptotes, equation of the asymptotes. We didn't need the equation of the hyperbola to get the asymptotes. So there's 5 marks here. So if you get A, you get 1. You get C, you get 1. If you get root 3 over, or 2 root 3 for B, you get 1. And if you wrote down the equation and simplified it, you get 2 here, 5 altogether. Now, what's the equation of the hyperbola in standard form? Well, the hyperbola is going up. It's not horizontal. So that means it's y minus k squared. And I always put the b with the y, minus x minus h all squared over a squared equals 1. So notice, because the axis of intercept is going up and down, the vertex and the foci are on the axis of intercept, that means we got y first with the x being minus. So we have y, we have, let's see, the center is 3, 0. So this is y minus 0 squared. And this is 3, so this is x minus 3 squared. And so b squared is right here. We found b squared to be 12. And a squared, a is 2. So a squared is 2 squared is 4. So the equation is y squared over 12 minus x minus 3 squared over 4 equals 1. And again, repeat, because it's going up and down, y squared is first. And we have, if you have this equation written like this, because we go with x minus h squared minus the y squared. So because you have that equation, give yourself a mark. And if you have this part right and this part right, there's 3 marks altogether. So 8 for that page total. And let's continue. Number 4, find the center, vertices, foci, asymptotes, eccentricity of this equation. And when we look at this equation, and we also have to graph it. So let's find all the info first. So notice we got an x squared, y squared. This is positive and that's a negative. So that means we have a hyperbola. So let's group the x's because we have to change this general form to standard form to get the center and a squared and b squared. So let's group the x's and let's group the y's and move the 9 over to make it positive. So take the 4 out, x squared minus 2x. And we take the negative out of the y squared, get y squared minus 6y. So I took 4 out, and that made this a 2. Half of negative 2 is negative 1 squared is 1. So 1 times 4 times 1 is 4. So this is a 4. And a half of negative 6 is negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. So this is 4. Because this is a perfect square trinomial, the square root of x squared is x. A half of negative 2 is negative 1 squared. And y squared is y. A half of negative 6 is negative 3, so that's squared. The 9's cancel, and I get a 4. Now I divide by 4. Divide by 4, and the 4's cancel, so I get x minus 1 squared over 1, and y minus 3 squared over 4, and 4 over 4 is 1. So I have the equation in standard form, and we have the center is 1, 3. Opposite of negative 1 is 1. Opposite of negative 3 is 3. And that's the center. And now we need the vertices. So let's plot the center. So we have the center is 1, 3. The center is right here. And notice that it's x is positive, so that means it has the axis, the transverse axis is horizontal, because the x is positive, y is negative. It will not go up and down, will go sideways. So that means we're adding on, we have a squared is 1, a is plus or minus 1, b squared is 4, so b is plus or minus 2. So the a goes 1 right and left, so we go 1 right and 1 left. That means we have, when we do that, we have the vertices. So this is vertex 1 and this is vertex 2. So what we did, the vertices, we have a 1, and so we add on 1 to the 3 and we subtract 1. So that's 2, 3, and 0, 3. So we go 1 right and 1 left, so vertex 1, vertex 2. So that's vertex 1 and that's vertex 2. And the foci are even further, but we have to get see what c is. So c squared is a squared plus b squared. So we have c squared, a squared is 1, b squared is 4, c squared is 5, so c is plus or minus root 5. So that means the foci is, let's look at the foci, and again the foci are horizontal, so we add them onto the lines, so it's 1 plus root 5, comma 3, and it's 1 minus root 5, comma 3, because the center is 1, 3, because it's horizontal, we're adding the root 5 onto the 1 and subtracting the root 5 from the 1. So this is a foci over here, So let's call this one F1 and this one F2. So this one is over here a little bit further, and this one is over here a little bit further. So if you change root 5 to a decimal, you get 2 point something. So that's more than, that's 2.5 is further than 3, so it's 3 point, say 3, comma 3, and this one is 2.3, so you get a negative right here. So that's the foci, and we have the asymptotes. So y minus k is plus or minus b over a x minus h. So the center is 1, 3, so that's y minus 3 plus or minus. B is 2, a is 1, and an x minus 1. So it's y minus 3 plus or minus 2 times x minus 1. And there's 2 of them there, so you got a y minus 3 is 2 times x minus 1, or you got y minus 3, 2 times negative 2 times x minus 1. And we have the eccentricity. E is equal to c over a. Because it's horizontal, it could be c over a or c over b, but because it's going sideways, we got c over a. So c is root 5 over a, which is 1. So the eccentricity is root 5. Now, we have everything found. We got the eccentricity, got the asymptotes, we got the foci, vertices. So from the center, let's plot the asymptotes. So from the center, you rise 2 over 1, you rise 2 and run 1, or you go down 2, left 1. So one asymptote would be through the center right here. And another asymptote is negative. So in a negative, you rise 2 and go left, or you go down 2 and go right. That's the negative asymptote. So this one right here is y minus 3, 2 times x minus 1. And this one right here is y minus 3, negative 2 times x minus 1. Now you can also multiply by 2 here and bring the 3 over to put it into point slope form. So these are the asymptotes. So it goes through the vertices, which is here towards the asymptotes, like this. And it goes through this vertex towards the asymptote. So there's the hyperbola that's represented by this equation. And that's 10 marks for this equation. So if you have the equation in started off in this form right here, if you have it equal to right here, and you change it to this form, it's another mark. If you get the center, you get a mark. If you get the vertices, you get a mark. And if you get the foci, you get another mark. If you get the asymptotes correct, you get another mark. You get the eccentricity, you get a mark. And if you did the graphing like I have here, you use 3 more marks, so 10 altogether, distributed throughout. Okay. And we just have one more to do. This is a system of equations intersecting. So we have x squared minus y squared equals 3x plus 4, and we have 2x minus y squared plus 2 equals 0. We need to solve this. I have a line driven down here because I'm going to do it 2 ways. One way would be to, this is equation 1, and this is equation 2. So if I number the equations, one way would be to line up the equations. In other words, I got an x squared, y squared, x constant. So if I put down x squared minus y squared and 3x plus 4, so that's number 1. So if I take number 2 and write it below it, the x is here, so the x moves this way to make it negative. The y stays where it is, and the plus 2 moves over here to become a minus 2. So what I did, I have the equations lined up now. So because the equations are y squared, x, and constant, if I multiply this equation, I have to have one of these the opposite of each other. So if I take the first equation and multiply by -1 and multiply the second one by 1, then I get negative x squared plus y squared minus 3x minus 4. Multiplying it by just 1 won't change it. So I multiplied by -1, so I made it negative, positive, negative, negative. I multiplied this one by 1, so I didn't change. I draw a line and I add, they cancel out, so I get a negative x squared equals negative 5x minus 6. So that's a negative x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. I have a negative, so I'm going to multiply through by -1. So I get x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. And this is factorable. I have the factors of 6 to give me a 5 are 3 and 2, or 6 and 1. Product is -6. The sum is -5. So I have 6 and 1. Product is negative, sum is positive, so I have negative and a positive, so it's -6 plus 1. Multiply -6 by 1, -6, add -5. So I get x minus 6 equals 0, or x plus 1 equals 0. So x is 6, or x is -1. Now, I can take one equation at one value of x at a time. So let's write down 2x minus y squared plus 2 equals 1, and sub the 6 in here. So x is 6. I'm subbing it into number 2 equation. So it's 2x is 6. So I'm solving the equation for y now. So y squared, and that's a 12 plus 2 is 14. Move it over as -14. Multiply by negative. Y squared equals 14. Y is equal to plus or minus root 14. So what that means, that when x is 6, y is root 14. And when x is 6, y is negative root 14. And let's put x equals -1 into this equation also. So we put x is -1. So we get -2 minus y plus 2 equals 0. -2 plus 2, this is 0. So negative y equals 0. So, sorry, negative y squared equals 0. Y squared equals 0. Square root of 0 is 0. So that means when x is -1, y is 0. Now notice I have another side here. What I could have done is I eliminated here because I seen that the y squared were similar, same, except 1 is plus 1 is minus, so that's why I multiplied 1 by -1. I could have taken each of these equations, and let's show you. So this is equation 1. This one has a y squared, and this one has a y squared. So if I take this equation and solve it for y squared, okay, now I could solve it for y squared, because y squared is here and here. So I'm going to solve it for y squared. I'm going to take equation number 2 and solve it for y squared. But I'm going to solve it for negative y squared. I don't have to just do y squared. So negative y squared is negative 2x minus 2. So both of them are solved for y squared. That means that negative x squared plus 3x plus 4 is equal to negative 2x minus 2. I could have multiplied this by negative 1 and had a y squared. I could have multiplied this by negative 1 and had a y squared. But because I got a negative y squared here and here, that means this right side equals this right side. So that means negative x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 4 plus 2 equals 0. Negative x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now I got a negative again, so multiply by negative 1. So this equation right here is the same as here. So if you did it this way, excuse me, and solved it out, or if you did it this way and got here and then did all this, you're still correct. So I just wanted to show you that there's two ways to do it. I would not solve this equation for x and sub into here, because that means you get a y, you get a y squared being put in here, and you would get an x to the fourth. So it's easier to eliminate the y squared or solve for y squared or negative y squared, and you have less work. Easier to do. So if you did that, if you did the method right, you get 2 marks. If you had this equation down here, you get a mark. So that's 3 marks. And if you had each of these answers, you get, so that's 5 marks. And if you did these 2, you get a mark each. And you did this one, you get a mark. So 8 marks in total for that question. So that means that hopefully everything went well. And if you go back and total up your page, if I can find a sheet, go back and find your first sheet, total up each page, put your number over 36, convert it to a percent, and hopefully you did well on this review on these videos 11 to 25. If you like the video, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button. If you want to subscribe to my channel, visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Notice one word. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video helped you. Bye-bye.